Every tutorial on YouTube shows you how to draft a basic bodice block, but there are very few that shows you how to actually use it. My theory is that it's because there are so many books out there that teaches you how to draft a basic bodice block step by step, but there are very few that are actually showing you how to use it. However, I find pattern drafting from a basic bodice block is so much easier because you already have spent so much time trying to perfect that fit, so any design modification will not affect the fit. Having said that, there are many pitfalls that can make your garment look very bad. So in this video, I'm not only going to show you how to modify the basic bodice block into a shirt pattern, but I am also going to share the common pitfalls and how to fix them. I will go through the pattern tracing, adding the button stand and lowering the hem, also showing you the areas where people usually trip up, such as pointy bust darts, hem and misaligned side seams. I will start by tracing bodice block. My bodice block is naturally split into two halves. That is so that it's easier to modify the dart placement. For this shirt pattern, I'm only going to use a side bust dart. Drop me a comment below if you want me to show you how to relocate the bust darts. With the pattern traced, I'm now going to show you the first and common mistake and how to fix it. As drafted, the bust dart creates a sharp point at the bust, the highest point of the bust, and that might be your intention if you want to create a Madonna-worthy outfit, or my great aunts did say leaf bra. However, unless you're going on the Blonde Ambition World Tour, you probably don't want that to be pointy. The fix is very easy. You just need to move your dart a few centimeters away from the bust apex, usually around 2 to 3 centimeters or around 1 inch. This way the dart point will finish before the bust apex and it will be smoothed out by natural curves of the bust. With the bust dart now amended, let's move on to lowering the hem. If you created a basic bodice block following my video tutorial, you will notice that the hemline ends exactly on the waistline. While this might be trendy now or in noughties, I can hear my mum screaming, saying that I will freeze my kidneys. And typically a shirt pattern usually have the hemline a little bit lower. I mean, a tad more lower, somewhere between mid-hip and a hip line. If you do not know where your mid-hip line is, I will leave a link in the description below to my blog post where I show you how to take accurate body measurements. I'm going with a hip-length shirt because I find it to be the most convenient and versatile. When squaring across the side seams, remember that you need to use a quarter of your mid-hip and hip circumference measurement plus added ease. I am using the same wearing ease as my basic bodice block. If you do not remember what it was on yours, you can check out my basic bodice block tutorial. This is usually the area that is too snug on commercial patterns, or at least it is for me, and self-drafted patterns completely avoid that because you're using your exact measurements plus the added wearing ease. And sometimes you can add a little bit more wearing ease than it is on your bodice block because there's a lot more movement in the hip area. If you opted to use a waist to bust dart, you will also need to extend this to the hip area and also include the width of the dart into your mid-hip circumference measurement. I will show you how to do that later in the video when I'm showing you how to adjust the back bodice part. Next, connect your waist with mid-hip and hip circumference. Technically, you only need to connect the waist and the hip measurements. The mid-hip location is there for a guide because it should fall within the line from the waist to hip. If it falls outside, then you will need to use your mid-hip measurement as the widest part for the hip area. Now, this leads to the next mistake. If you left your pattern with a straight hemline, like in a 2D picture drawing, you will end up with a V-shaped hem at the side seam. While a straight hem might seem logical, it actually completely ignores the geometry and how a 3D shape is formed from flat piece of paper. If you followed my instructions on how to create a sleeve block, you will remember that I shaped the sleeve opening to make sure that the side seams meet each other as a seamless transition. And the same rule applies here. easier. However, the step to adjusting the hem is a lot more easier because you're only going to use a 90-degree angle. You need to create a straight angle at the point where the hem meets the side seam. This can be anywhere between 2 to 3 centimeters above the hemline. Higher the straight angle is, the smoother the transition from the side seam to the hem will be. However, you can completely overdo it as well. So to avoid that mistake, I suggest that you raise the hem by around 2 to 3 centimeters at the side seam. But the height doesn't really matter here. You might find that you will need to add a little bit more or a little bit less. It will depend on your body proportions and your preferences. Next in this linear pattern drafting process, I'm going to add the button stand. I have a separate video that shows you how to add the button stand and which widths to choose. However, for this pattern, I'm only going to show you how to add 2.5 centimeter or 1 inch button stand extension. This will work for most shirt buttons. First line that you're going to add is going to be the edge of the button stand, and it is 1.25 centimeters or half an inch away from the center front line. The next two lines are both equal width. They both are the fold lines and they both are 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch wide. Now this completes the front bodice piece, and now we can move on to the back bodice. You will be pleased to know that the back bodice piece adjustment is quite simple, especially considering you just completed the a little bit harder front bodice piece. Essentially, you're following exactly the same steps, tracing and then lowering hemline. However, you will also need to extend the waist dart to your mid-hip or hip location. I usually extend this waist dart a few centimeters above the hemline. The reason for that is because I do not want to add extra fabric at the hem when I'm going to sew it. When you're marking mid-hip location on the side seam, you also need to include the dart width measurement. Then draft the side seam the same way as you did it on the front pattern, using a French curve. You will also need to raise the hem to create that 90-degree angle. You will be excused if you believe that this now means the pattern is completed. Unfortunately, this is the area where most pattern drafters go wrong, especially if this is your first attempt of drafting the pattern. Your side seams are not going to be exactly the same length on your front and your back bodice pattern. How can I know it for certain? Well, if you followed my pattern drafting tutorial when I created the basic bodice block, you will remember that we actually lowered the center front line by a few centimeters to match up with your exact body measurements. That is basically because your front of the body takes a lot more space than the back, and that is because of the bust essentially. While the side seams are smoothed out on the basic bodice block, I'm actually using the center front and center back lines for modifying the shirt pattern because they are straight lines and I don't have to worry about getting the angles right. And because of that, your side seams are going to be a different length. So to correct it, you've got two options. You can either walk your side seams from the waist down, or you can use a tape measure to compare the different length of the side seams. And then you can adjust one or both patterns depending on what the difference is and whichever is easier for you. I find that for this particular pattern it was easier to lower the back pattern to match up with the front. And then I redrafted the hemline. With the shirt bodice pattern now complete, you can add seam allowances. I don't tend to add seam allowances to my patterns because then it makes it more versatile. But I have a separate video where I show you how to add seam allowances to any straight or curved line or point or a dart. Regardless of whether you're adding seam allowances to your pattern or not, you will also need to transfer your pattern markings. I also cut out the points for the darts instead of leaving them intact because that will make it easier to transfer the markings onto the fabric. In my upcoming shirt sewing series, I will show you how to transfer the darts more accurately onto your fabric. To add a matching sleeve, watch this video next where I show you how to modify a basic sleeve block to create a shirt sleeve pattern. Alternatively, if you prefer written instructions, I have left a link to my blog post in the description below.